So I guess I don't know, on the pamphlet, it says that these are people who have supported other people who have gone through suicide. This is just my story. So my battle with mental health, I think, really started when I was a teenager, and I think it started for a lot of the same reasons that most teenagers. You don't fit in. You got too many hormones pumping through your system. You don't know who you are, and for me, it was a fairly profound experience with depression and anxiety, and really struggled with very severe for about 10 years, and I think that really took me into my mid-20s, and for me, it was despair, it was hopelessness, it was meaninglessness, and it woke up with me in the morning, and it put me to bed in the evening. And it was always there. You can distract yourself, and you can do, you can get involved in things, but for me, it was just a voice that was always waiting for me in the shadows. And there was certainly a multitude of suicide attempts, but people are complicated. Like you can both want to die, and you can also want to live at the same time. And those forces can battle within you, and that's why suicide is often like a consequence of a crisis. It's because like all of a sudden your world blows apart, and then that side wins, and you make a decision that is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. But I think for me, really, in my journey, the probably one of the manifestations of it was really high risk behavior, and that for me took me into my early 20s, and I think that this is something to really understand about suicide at the bottom of what it is that some people are experiencing. Because you can drink and drive, and you can get in fights, and you can push the edge as far as you possibly can, because you're sort of hoping in the back of your head that you're going to get what you actually want, which is wake up or not have to wake up the next day. And for me, I just lived that out, and I think that it was a very painful experience for me and for many of the people that were in my orbit at that time. And so, like I said, that took me into my mid-20s, and I think there were three factors that really helped me overcome what it was that I was struggling with. And the first was out of college, I started working with kids with special needs, and this is tied in a little bit later. I think this is really like a God thing. But the kids that I worked with, there was this innocent and simplistic joy that even though I had this despair in me, it tethered me to something human. And working with them was a profound joy for me. The second thing was my parents, and they enabled me, but they also never gave up on me. And so it just kept me tethered, even as I flailed and floundered and made all of the worst decisions that people can possibly make. And that I just knew that they loved me and that they were there for me. And I also know that's a privilege that I had, and not everybody has that. But the third thing, and I think this really was my transformation, it was my wife. And so we started dating, and I did all the things that mentally unhealthy people do, which is sabotage and try and push her away, because I couldn't, because it was something that I wanted so badly, but I couldn't possibly keep. I just knew that you're too broken, you don't deserve it, you can't keep it. And so you push it away and you push it away. And my wife, she saw me in all of my broken pieces, and she loved me anyway. And so I think that really marrying her for me was like, it was like, all right, I'm just playing for a different team now. And really was a transformation. And so kind of fast forward this story, I became a mental health practitioner. I'm a mental health counselor, and I've been doing that for about 10 years in our community. And there's a concept called the wounded healer, and this is a really true thing for a lot of counselors in our just in general. But a lot of us we enter into the professional because we're hoping to, I think, find some healing in ourselves, and then maybe too, if we can help some other people with healing, that can be healing for us as well. And so that was a profound experience. I love being a mental health counselor, and I deeply believe in counseling is one of our greatest tools that we have in fighting against despair. But something happened when this was about 4 years ago. It was close to my practice, but there was a young girl who committed suicide, and she shot herself with a gun that she just never should have had access to. And it left this just gaping hole in me. And I really think at this point I'd gone through a transformation. And mental health counseling, when you sit next to people and you hear their stories, you start to realize that people are carrying things that you cannot imagine. And they're going through things that you cannot fathom. And the strength that they have, like you just develop this respect for the human condition. And so anyway, this left this just absolute vacuum in my life. It was right around the time my little girl was born. And I just remember holding her in my arms and saying, we have to do something better. And like, I have to do something better. And so this girl, I saw a number of her friends in counseling. They were showing me pictures of this beautiful, intelligent, charismatic girl, and God, I mean, it's just heartbreaking when you lose somebody like that. Like there's just a hole that can't be filled. And for me, it was a responsibility. Not only do I have to be better for my daughter as a father, but I have to make the world better for her to grow up in. And so out of that, me and some of the counselors, we got together and we launched what was called the Not Alone Project. And it was a movie that we aired at the Babcock Theater, and we had tons of people help out with this. But it was a movie about teen suicide. If you haven't seen it, it's a really powerful one, and it really addresses the hard issues that teenagers are going through. And we aired it, we had a panel of experts, and it was really powerful. It was a really powerful event. But out of that, I was asked to be the vice chair for the Suicide Prevention Coalition, and it has been an absolute honor to serve with so many amazing people. And this conference is only a part of what we do. I mean, all of my goofy ideas like painting murals and, haunted followers and all that kind of stuff, like all of that, the coalition is supporting and driving forward. And we're an exciting group to be a part of. And so that is an open invitation to anybody who wants to come and fight this battle, at least on those grounds with us. So there was one other, I think, component of this story is I think I realized at some point that counseling is not enough. And so I'm actually doing my PhD in counselor education right now. Like, I believe in counseling, I love counseling. But it's not enough. Once a week, you see somebody, maybe they really listen to you and they're really good at their job, and you go back into the despair that you came from. And so out of that, I launched Pay Love Forward, which the mission statement there is to build compassionate communities for at-risk and underserved young people. And that's my passion. I got so lost when I was a young person. And so maybe if I can go back in time and help some others make some choices that are a little bit better than mine, then maybe those would heal my wounds and some of the world's wounds as well. And so to me, I really find that this is the solution, that we're up against despair. That's what we're fighting. And the way that we fight that is with meaning and hope and connection and empathy. And those things can be found with each other and in community. And so I'm really interested in, I'm so excited about working with Converge, but the infrastructure with which we develop communities, and that's a big part of the coalition, this collective impact idea. But I would love to see a social media platform where you can come find a community that connects you into something meaningful as a compassionate community, and then maybe even built into that are like mental health services and like it flashes up like suicide prevention lifelines, and it's a place where we come together and can really connect to battle this together. So my mission is at-risk and underserved young people, and this is what I tell young people, and I go back in time and I'm not sure what would have saved me. There's a couple of things though. I know that if fentanyl was around, I wouldn't be alive. And if my parents had a gun and they didn't secure it, I wouldn't be alive. And so maybe that is anybody who's experienced some of the things that I'm describing right now or has a child, like keep death far away from them so that you can survive that crisis for long enough to maybe get a second chance. And so, I thought about it a million times. What would have transformed me? I just know that people didn't give up on me at really critical times. And so to me, that's the biggest message that I have is, well, first join the community. This, what I tell young people is close your eyes and imagine the highest good that you can reach for, and then go pick up the heaviest load that you can carry and start walking in that direction. And you're going to fall. Like, that's the first thing that's going to happen. You're going to fall down because you're not enough. And if you're surrounded by people that care about you and you're connected to a community that is full of people that care about you, then they'll pick you up when you fall. And so the last part of, and this is just my story, and I certainly am not coming to this podium as an expert right now, but this is just my story. And so my son was diagnosed with cancer about a month and a half ago. And so, I think that's what this coalition is. We're the people who have looked darkness in the eye and decided that there's enough meaning and hope to be willing to fight. And I really believe that. And so right now my fight is going to be in Denver. I actually go back to be a part of this because this is really important. And it's really important to stand and fight with all of you. But I'll be in Denver for about 6 months, and my little boy has Down syndrome and cancer, and it's been a really hard time, And so I think we like stories that are like, oh, I was lost and now I'm found, and the reality is that a lot of us are carrying these wounds with us, and it can get really hard sometimes. And if we're not connected to people that love us, then then we are alone, and so that's what we're here doing, right? There are so many people that care. There are so many amazing people like Alyssa, like Sarah Music. She's been an unbelievable champion for this coalition. There's so many people that there is help out there, and you aren't alone. And a lot of people, you look at people and you don't know why I'm wearing a mask. I'm wearing a mask because I got to go fight a different battle. Like when we see each other and we understand that people are carrying burdens that we can't imagine, our hearts reach out to them. And and their hearts reach back, and that's the force I think that we can unleash, and that's one of the things that we're going to pay off for. That we can unleash that force of connection and compassion, and it can break down the barriers that keep us from being together. And if we can do that, then we're not alone.
Yeah.